Okay, I found another Holden radio, GMH on the front. Very rough old one. I reckon this has had a fair bit of water damage. Obviously that's not the original mount, but if it's out of a Holden, it probably just had the dash of the car. Most of them just had a pretty crude plastic dash with a couple of holes in it. At least it's got the knobs on it. They do still turn as well. Does the tuning work? Yes it does, sort of. Dragging cobwebs and God knows what in there. Ooh, that's stuck down, I don't think it should. So everything's probably going to need a lube. I mean, this may well be worth a bit of money now. That one, it does go in the end. Believe it or not, I don't know what it was because all the labels are faded, but it's probably made in Japan by one of these standard sort of electronics companies, but might as well see if it actually works or can be made to work. Possibly got the original wiring harness on it still, so this looks very sort of early 80s probably, could even be 70s, I don't know. I reckon it's an 80s, so probably, well then again, 80s we're getting in the Commodore, so I don't think this would have been in a Holden Commodore. It's more like a HQ Holden or Tirana, LX, is it Tirana, something like that. So probably is 70s. I don't think this is an 80s one, but hard to know. More screws on the side, tons of them. And it's pretty corroded, so I don't hold out a lot of hope, but it's amazing what these things can put up with. It's time I did something with it. If it's not fixable, time to chuck it on eBay or something as a non-going one for just looks only or something. I have no idea if those knobs on the front are actually the originals, but if they are, then they're worth something if someone wants to restore one of these cars back to original, I guess. But who knows, it'll probably be out of some little Gemini or something nobody wants to fix up, rather than, you know, HQ or something, which would probably make it worth something. But I don't think it'd be worth the sort of money people are asking on eBay for random old car radios. It does not want to come. Oh, gotcha. Wow, it looks like someone might have cooked that, or is that just weather's got to it? It might just be weather damage, I'm not sure. God, it's had water sitting in it by the look of it. It's probably why that one thing doesn't want to work very well, because it's very rusty. But it's just on the shaft, I think. It's surprisingly not that bad, considering I was expecting worse, to be honest. Yeah, God, I've not looked in one of these probably since the 80s. I remember I even looked at my school teacher's one, because he had one in his little Datsun wagon that was something very similar to one of these things. They all looked pretty much the same back then, but I don't think I ever managed to get it going. I think it was just dead, and something in the radio section had failed, and I don't think it picked up any AM at all, something like in the front end or something, and I didn't really have much test equipment to work on that. Checked the basic things and couldn't find the problem with it, and he didn't really want to spend much on it anyway, I don't think. Oh yeah, the little neon, is that something to do with the antenna? Yeah, where the antenna comes in. Not sure if it's a spark gap. I think it was just meant to spark over if there was any sort of static or high voltage on there, maybe a discharge from a nearby lightning strike or something, who knows. And you got these little feed through capacitors on everything. There's an inductor in there. I think that's just the mains, or the main voltage chokes. That's how you know which connector is your power. Does that go through that little inductor there as well? I think it does. So where's the other side of the inductor at? Oh, anyway, I can measure continuity. Sort of grey wire, yellow wire. Yellow's probably the power, I think. Yellow, black, that goes to that thing. Yeah, and then that doesn't go anywhere, which, yeah, that is, there's a little inductor in there, so that yellow wire goes to the inductor, comes out of the inductor, I think, to this, which one was it? The one that goes into the other inductor here. Must be that one. Yeah, that's it. I say, I'll soon use a multimeter to find out if the yellow wire goes to this, the pins on this, which it does. Probably next stop will be the power switch. We've got a pair of wires that go over to a lamp or something maybe. Yeah, that's the radio. There's some sort of lamp. Little green light, maybe that's just a power on indicator. And what else do we go to? A blue wire. Where on earth does the blue wire go? So this other one's the ground, I guess. Well, that's the other side of the lamp, and it's a big pad, and it'll probably be hooked to the chassis somewhere. Yeah. And to which the black wire, no doubt. Oh yeah, the black wire is actually soldered to the chassis by the look of it, and to this, to the other side all the capacitors, and that should go to that. Yeah, so it's easy enough. So black and yellow are your power, and the other ones would be the speaker and maybe something else. You've got a black trace on one. Someone actually dodgy this up. Well, I better have a look, I guess. Oh yeah, here we go. This may not be the original. It's the right colours though. But someone may have chopped this off at some point and either modified it to a different car and then back again. But that means all those want heat shrinking and stuff. Well, look of it. Looks a lot like the wires the same each side. But is it just one wire they've chopped into? Let's have a look. I doubt it's just one, but you never know. No, we've got another one coming out. So someone, I think's chopped this off at some point and reconnected it, or maybe they've, don't know, maybe they got one out of a different model with a different plug and cut the wiring harness for their car and fitted it. And I reckon that's the other side of the power, because we've got a 470 microfarad capacitor there. One side to ground, but the other side, yeah, goes to this amp chip. So that'll be switched power coming back through there somewhere. Does that? Oh, there is a blue wire comes across to there somewhere, which is the switch terminals. Yeah. So that's the switch out again. Comes through the red wire, which goes, yeah, just into next to this cap, which is the other side of that big cap. So the first thing it does basically is turn the amplifier on, and therell be some other wire from here somewhere to switch this little radio tuner section, just AM only. We've got an HA1199, that sounds like a familiar IC in these sort of things. Cobwebs. So as long as that water, it doesn't look like it's got on this circuit board much, so as long as it hasn't eaten any of those IF cans out or anything, we should be probably working. Or someone could have blown an amp chip or something in this prior to it being retired. More than likely it's probably just been retired. I'll just seal all those wires up again a bit so nothing can short. It probably got retired just to upgrade it. Most of these things were still working, they just all got thrown out because people wanted a cassette head unit or they wanted FM as well. These don't have anything just other than the basic AM. Actually, I can go to chassis for that, would make more sense. And I guess we need a hook. So what's the other grey wire, I wonder? One of them goes straight to ground, the black trace. That one goes through this, through, I would assume a cap, yeah, big cap. That's your audio out. And the other one is, oh, that's the red traced one. The other one comes up here to the blue wire, goes to the, oh, this is the lamp. My God, I didn't think any of these early stereos actually had a lamp input on them, but this one does. So the speakers are ground and red trace wire. And it's actually got an illumination connection, so that's that bottom one there. Yeah, I am impressed. It just seems far too modern for one of these, but I guess some of them probably had that. That would have been pretty fancy back then, having your radio light up when you put the car park or headlights on. And that can be clipped to ground. I'm just going in there, poking it in. Hopefully that'll do. I guess I should check it before I hook it into anything else. And which one was power again? Not that one. That's, well, we can check that one, can't we? That should, oh yeah, it makes the light come on in there. You can see that glow at the front. And oh, well, the yellow wire I was going to go to, wasn't I? And we don't have a light on the front, which I think we should. Oh, it's push, isn't it? These are push. I forget these. It's not lighting. Oh, there it goes. It flicked once. I bet this old switch is pretty cactus. Come on. Yeah, we're getting the odd flick out of it. So that could be another issue that could kill this if that switch is worn out. Don't know if any contact cleaner is going to help here anywhere. We'll have to try that. No, I don't think we're going to get the switch to work. I mean, possibly that can be stripped down or whatever. We can do something to it. So let's hook to the other side of that cap, which I said was there. Well, something's pulling power, I think. Certainly spark, but that's probably just the cap. We're pulling a few milliamps, and we don't have a light on. Did I hook that to the right? Oh, because the light's actually... Hang on, what the hell? The light... No, wait, have I got the right thing here? That's the light. Goes to ground, and it goes... But isn't that the bit that is switched? Oh, no. Oh, that comes via a resistor. Still would have thought that would come on. So maybe the light's dodgy. Maybe it's not the switch at all. Now, let's just check we've got no DC on the output. In case, oh, it's capacitively coupled, I just looked at, wasn't it? It'll have some voltage. It doesn't have anything. But it was capacitively coupled. Oh no. It's only shorting on the chassis, thankfully. So it doesn't have any action. That's tuning. So am I connected to anything on the speaker here? I've got ground on one side. That should be connected. Doesn't mean, oh yeah, that would have been fine. Well, that's assuming that none of these wires have been messed around with too much. I better check. What should be a simple job quickly goes downhill. Okay, let's see if we got volts on there. That's in the right spot. So we should have a voltage on that IC. Yep. We should have a voltage coming back to that lamp, I would have thought. Oh, we do. So we've got voltage in all the right spots. I don't know if the speakers, I've got to check if the speakers actually, let's turn the voltage off. Speaker is actually connected where it should be, which is from ground to that one, I think. Ohms might be better, but no, something's not connected. So speaker to that pin we want. No, it's not connecting. You kidding me? Got the right wire, haven't I? Come on, that can't be that bad. Let's try hooking the speaker to... Come here, god damn it. The thing directly. Yeah, check we've got speaker resistance. Really? Is one of these speaker connectors being a little son of a gun again? It was. Unreal. So, Yeah, turn it on. It's just my speaker connector again. Those RCAs are getting a bit worn out. Tone. And we don't have any antenna at all. Where is the antenna socket? Over here somewhere, is it? Ah, of course, as soon as you touch something, all the wire, oh, it's sticking out the back, that's right. Ah, power's come off now. Well, let's check the power again. If that light's sticky, then maybe the switch is working. Oh, you son of a... I hate clip leads because you touch one and everything else falls to bits. So which bit's sticky? The speaker or the bloody power? Or is it these wires? Probably these dodgy wiring connections they made are dicky. And the switch is fine. Just got a random light bulb. And yeah, the connections they've done on the back, because they're not soldered, I think they're rather dodgy as well. Can't touch anything without everything shitting itself. Here you go, you can already hear something happening. There we go. Definitely something there. Uh-oh. Dicky wiring everywhere. Oh, man. Pretty horrible noise it's making. But with a bit of work, that is a goer, I think. I'm definitely going to have to set up an AM antenna of some sort, because I don't get any reception in here, and these car ones are a bit deafer normally without a good external antenna on them. Maybe that's what I should do, is actually just find an old car antenna, and or even buy a new one if you can get them at a reasonable price, and stick that on the... I think I've got one out of an old Mazda somewhere. I think I kept the antenna off it and never sold it, so I've probably got one lying around if I can find it. Probably be easier to buy one than try and find that. But I think with a bit of cleanup and a bit of lubrication, plus that power lamp looks like it needs replacing. Does that have some sort of... no, the second knob doesn't do anything there, I don't think. To get these presets working again, clean all the muck out of it. I mean, it's a bit of muddy water or something's been in there, but it's so well galvanised, this thing, it's hardly even rusted it. There's mostly rust on this bit of dodgy aftermarket panel, because this has probably been mounted in a completely different car. Like I say, someone would have been pulling it out of one thing to get rid of it, and someone probably thought, oh, I'll stick that in that other car. You know, someone's brother or mate or whatever is like, oh, I have that. I'll put that in my car because it doesn't even have a radio. Or the old one's died, but the fact that this has got a aftermarket surround means it probably went in something that didn't even have one. Come on. That's pretty corroded. So everything got recycled in them days usually, unless you absolutely knew no one needed it, I guess. But of course these would have been worth something second hand still then, because a new radio costs quite a bit of money. But yeah, later on, once the car cassette players and that came down to a reasonable price, I don't think there's any real market for these things. No one wanted them, they just all got chucked out. Yeah, that's just someone's homemade job. That could go in the garbage. This is basically what the radio should look like. And yeah, quite a bit of rust there, so it's going to need a lot of work to clean this one up. But at least it's above ground still, unlike most of them. And yeah, even if it's a parts radio or something, that might be good. And like I say, if those knobs are original Holden knobs, that would be nice. Because they're the bits that are usually missing. Usually you find them like this, just a thing with a couple of shafts sticking out, no knobs, no surround, because people took them off to get it out of the car and just never put them back on again. Actually got a label with something on it there, Q085310, and yeah, a little green light that seems to have failed. The other dash light thing, or the dial light, is still good. Dirt all under there. Some sort of numbers on these knobs, even those would get broken sometimes, but they're pretty solid. 0034 and a 12. Unfortunately, I've got no idea what this is. I'll have to probably go by pictures if I can find any pictures online. But this thing's definitely had a hard life. Been left somewhere in an old shed or something. They're not very weatherproof one by the look at it. Maybe it was even in an old car or something, but because eventually they got, you know, if they were still in the car, nobody bothered taking them out because they just weren't worth anything. These are just obsolete junk, basically. Always a few people that didn't care, that's all they wanted to listen to was AM. Someone's put some grey paint on here, or glue or something. Better be careful it doesn't wipe that white lettering off, or numbering, because sometimes that will come off if it's been weather affected or something. That looks quite a bit better. It's not exactly mint though, unfortunately. It's got some muck on the front, so if that bit doesn't come up mint, then we're probably not really on a winner anyway. I think it's not the best condition, unfortunately. I think the weather's got to this one a bit too much, because it's affected the GMH badge. I mean, it's better than nothing, but if you're doing up an old car, you don't want one that looks rubbishy. I can probably, don't know if there's any point, because that's the actual paint, I think. Must be. I think it's got in between the plastic and the paint or something. Yeah, the GMH thing's a little bit damaged. It's probably got in from behind or something, so yeah, I don't think, the more you look at this, the worse it looks. I better find out if it is worth anything before I waste any time on it, I guess. But yeah, that's the reason I'm cleaning this up, to see what it's actually like. Yeah, it's got a weird sort of patch of, I assume the paint's peeling off. There's a little bit at the other end. The GMH thing's got like little patches in the white. So I think unfortunately that makes it pretty low value, to say the least. I mean, if someone had a good front or whatever, and like I say, these knobs alone might be worth good money if I can get them cleaned up nicely. They're not the best condition, I don't think. A few scratches and stuff. I have seen these knobs that shape before, but I have no idea what they were on. But they do look familiar, those ones. But they could be off anything. They could have been put in a Toyota or something and ended up with a Toyota knobs on it or something. If it was put in a different kind of car, you might have used the knobs for that car rather than, though looking at the aftermarket panel, like I say, it probably didn't go in a car that had a factory radio in it, because it would have had a, and then again it could have had a different front bit, I guess, and they didn't have the original one for this one because it was part of the Holden dash or whatever, so maybe they just made one out of metal. So you know, it's possible. There was all sorts of things you had to do in those days. Some cars had the surround bit with a stereo, some had it built into the dash with just 2 holes to poke it through. But even the ones with the 2 holes, you often put the little surround part because it would tell you what these knobs did and stuff. Sometimes they had 2 separate little bits on the ends. There was quite a few varieties and different ways of installing them. But that should make it look quite a bit better, even though it's still pretty grotty and horrible. Oh, I better clean. Let's look what those buttons are like, because again, they could have some value, even if the radio's not really worth anything, which I'm starting to think may be the case with this one. But I'd say at least it still exists. That's better than just being landfill, even if it's a parts radio. Well, it certainly looks better than it did, but yeah, it's not mint by any means. But at least it doesn't look like it just got fished out of the bottom of a river or something like it used to. Found in the bush somewhere. Though I think it's pretty close to a bushfire. Looking at all the muck on it. Now that was the plain knob, I think. Oh, is it a different size? No, it's not. Put a plain knob on there. Get on there. And that's our little tone bit. Yeah, it's got a few little bits of rust or something on it that'll need cleaning off. But that was something like what it originally looked like, and it needs that wiring harness repairing. It needs everything lubing and repairing. It might be a good little resto project just for the hell of it. I do have a few other old, I think there's an old Datsun one and a few other rusty old things like this, so maybe we can do a few of them for the fun of it. But I think that's about as far as I go with that one for now, so thanks for watching.